Hey, welcome back. I'm Jesse. I'm here at the Wolfram Tech Conference, talking with various developers and interesting people using our technology. I'm here right now with Christian, who is going to tell us a little bit about what he does at the company and sort of what his focus is on. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure, thanks, Jesse. Yes, I'm Christian Pasquel from the Wolfram Research South America team. So my team works primarily on connecting the Wolfram language to external services using APIs, and now we are focusing a lot on blockchain stuff. Um, so we have developed a lot of very nice functionalities like Wikipedia data. That's a good one. Like web image search, send message. I like that one because I can send stuff to my cell phone.
I actually used that send mail functionality or send
Well,
message.
the send message.
Oh, I may not have used that one. I've definitely used send mail to send emails to other people.
And now we are developing all these blockchain functionalities, so you can read, and in the next release you'll be able to also write to blockchains. And there's also a lot of educational background for this, not only for our users, but also for us, because we use our own technology to learn about these blockchains and to develop cool technology.
Before we get into sort of the educational background and the implications of that, I don't know too much about blockchain, so can you explain it to me like I'm five? Like, what is a blockchain? How does it relate to like Bitcoin and Ethereum? Just, for me and also for any viewers who are just
Well,
happening upon
that's a
this.
funny question because I'll be lying if I say there's a unique answer. But so I could say like blockchain is a decentralized technology, but that's not completely true because you can also find some blockchains that are like partially centralized. But I will say it's a new type of network architecture. Uh, at least with one of the goals, I guess, is to at least partially decentralize, or at least not to have like a main agent in this system controlling everything. So and how like Bitcoin and Ethereum relate to that. So Bitcoin was the first blockchain, and I'm not sure. So we don't know who invented Bitcoin, right? I don't know if this, I guess, is a human who invented that. This
I
or
guess
a
we'll
group
never
of
know.
humans, whatever this Satoshi person had in mind, also using this technology for more things than what Bitcoin is actually used for. That is basically a digital currency system, and it's very limited, but it's intentionally limited because you just want it to work in some certain ways. So, like the language behind Bitcoin is not even Turing complete, uh, which is good because it makes the network work better. And so yeah, so blockchain is. I'll say let's try to think about it as a new type of network architecture
Okay.
where you have a lot of participants there, and you are not only using the network, but you are also being an active part of the network. Like a lot of these agents, in the case of Bitcoin, for example, that we call them nodes, they are contributing to the network, and like in the case of Bitcoin, they are mining um, the coin to validate transactions and make the network um, like function properly. And Ethereum case, so it's a more general application of this technology because in the case of Ethereum, that's actually a Turing complete language that took the idea behind Bitcoin, that is the blockchain technology. And actually, so if you read the Bitcoin white paper, there's no mention of a blockchain. So there's one part that it says chain of blocks, I believe, but there's no actual word for blockchain. And I'm trying to find where that word came from. So I'm still looking for that because I haven't found it. Like the first time the blockchain as a like full word was used, but there are references to the chain of blocks in the white paper, or maybe even like block space chain.
Okay.
But yeah, so like in the case of Ethereum, they take this basic concept of decentralized network and expanded that to Turing complete language, and they made this decentralized network to support what they are called decentralized apps. So those are apps that work on this decentralized network. Um, and but there are a lot of different types of blockchains. So I think we are like in the if you think about the internet, we are like in the 90s of the internet.
Okay.
So it's still an,
Yeah.
an kind of like embryonic technology.
Yeah, it's like the
And
nascent stages of blockchain
yeah,
technology.
so there's still no, I believe there's still no definitive answer to what a blockchain is.
Okay. Yeah.
But at least on one of the things we want with the Wolfram language is to provide tools to understand these types of blockchains, and maybe when they come up with a definitive answer,
Right. Yeah. So
maybe that's confusing.
I love that answer. So right now, Wolfram Language connects to whatever existing blockchains there are. Some of them. So how does Wolfram Language support these blockchains?
So we are currently supporting the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchain. So like we work on making these functionalities have like nice names that communicate what we are doing.
Right. Yeah.
And for example, look, I can get information from, let's say, the Bitcoin blockchain. So let's say I'm gonna get basic information from this. I can also do that with the Ethereum blockchain. And one very cool thing
Oh, that's nice.
we are doing is that, and not a lot of people can do this, is that we're also connected to the testnets of these blockchains because when you want to let's say play with do some experiments on these blockchains, if you are going to do this with real bitcoins, you probably lose all your money.
Yeah, they're expensive. What is it?
Yeah,
like,
so
like
but
thousands
if,
of dollars for
if
one
you work
Bitcoin
on the
or something?
testnet, you can do all sort of great experiments with basically fake money. So we are also connected to the Bitcoin and Ethereum testnet, and the idea is to so these are just very basic functions to get information about the current status of the network. But I can go even deeper. Like I can ask for, let's take the last block of the Bitcoin blockchain, and oops. And this is super useful, I think, because not only like to show off our technology, but to understand what's happening behind these networks, so you can go even deeper and like get transactions. We are in the next release we are including even more functionalities like to extract tokens, which is like a type of structure in Ethereum network. Like, have you heard about the CryptoKitties? No.
No.
So it's a fun game.
No. Okay, tell me about it. What is it?
So actually, I don't know like too much about this, but it's a decentralized app where you can buy these unique kitties, and well, they're called crypto kitties. And can you guess what their properties are called?
Um, crypto fur,
They are called
crypto paws,
cattributes.
cattributes. Oh my
Cattributes.
god,
Yeah.
that's way better
So
than what I was
one joke we
thinking.
have is that we are going to launch one app for dogs, and the architecture is going to be called the architecture.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so this decentralized app, I think it was released last year, I think, and it caused a huge congestion in the Ethereum network because everyone was buying these crypto kitties. You had to buy them with Ether, which is the native Ethereum currency, and and token is basically assigning, like creating, assigning value to something like in the real world, and doesn't have to be like a real thing. There are different types of tokens. So like in today's technology, you can do something like buy a trip to Acapulco with half a horse because you are like making these abstractions of the concept of value and make and converting them in these crypto tokens. So yeah, so this crypto kitties game has these crypto kitties which are unique, and
Well,
they
every cat
have,
is unique, Christian.
well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. And yeah, it's just reflecting the reality. Um, so you can combine these crypto kitties and like produce new ones with different attributes, and I think it's not so different from like a card trading game.
Okay, yeah.
And I haven't played myself. Like I had worked with data from the CryptoKitties game, but I don't own a CryptoKitty. But one of the guys in our team, they have a kitty because we are buying one of those to experiment with our technology in the CryptoKitties. So anyway, so currently we are connecting to those two blockchains, but we have developed all this nice architecture of our own nodes and our own internal API that is flexible enough to support other blockchains. So the idea is that in the future we'll be supporting connections to other blockchains, and we are actually talking very often to different blockchain and cryptocurrency companies who want to like work with us,
Right,
and
yeah.
and that's going to be great. And again, it's not only great for users, but it's also great for us because that like the cycle of supporting this technology starts with studying and researching these blockchains. So like when we had to connect to the Bitcoin blockchain, we also had to study a lot about how this works. So we use our own technology to play with this blockchain and understand all the technology behind it. And we are expecting our users to use that as well to um, learn about this technology. And we are also planning to release a lot of um, educational videos in our Wolfram U platform. So yeah, like for example, I have here. This is a computational essay I wrote about a like the most common type of Bitcoin transaction. You can have like different types of transaction, but this is when you like when you buy something with Bitcoin or you send me Bitcoins. What's happening in the blockchain is usually something like this. So our language is very cool here to not only um, make all these things happen, but also to explain what's happening here.
Right, yeah.
And
The interface is flexible to explain it and show it at the same
yeah,
time.
and you can see like you can see here, for example, all the um, like the scripts running on the blockchain and all these small details. and we also are developing a lot of cryptographic functions. We already had cryptographic functions, but
Right, yeah.
now we are adding, we are supporting the technology that blockchains use, and unfortunately, we have like very smart people working on this. Uh, so you can find on the internet a lot of blockchain, or let's say if you Google uh, I don't know, Bitcoin for Dummies or Bitcoin Basics or whatever.
Would this be a Bitcoin for Dummies type of, like,
Um,
if I read it, I could understand it.
well, I'm dumb enough to understand it, so um, so you can find a lot of very good like videos on YouTube explaining all this, but their limitations are that a lot of those videos, which are again they're very good, uh, they use, for example, a whiteboard
Oh yeah, it's
or
conceptual.
yeah, or a PowerPoint presentation where you see the code,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But here you can actually run the code, and you can play with that, and you can interact. So you don't want to waste your money,
Right.
so you can interact with the, let's say, the Bitcoin testnet. I think I'm using a Bitcoin testnet here. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm all about interactive learning, and it seems like notebooks are super useful.
right, and
for that.
personally, like I like live coding stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's actually pretty cool to, let's say, for example, I don't know. So we had this thing here from the Ethereum blockchain. So let's say let's look up for these things. Lowest gas price. So these are just some Ethereum stats for the network, but just to show you an example of. Is that good? Let's try something like this. Oops. So I don't know. I can get like a nice list plot from these stats real quick, and I think that makes the audience get like more engaged
Oh yeah,
with what
yeah.
you're doing,
Yeah.
because they are actually seeing you writing this, and probably the most exciting part is when um, you write something wrong and everything breaks. I think that's what the audience is expecting.
Oh yeah, it's
and-
like NASCAR, right? They only watch for
yeah,
the
yeah,
crashes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun part. So, but also that's another cool part of our language, that if you mess up something, it's intuitive enough so you can fix that. Like,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. It's super like cool educational tool. Where do you, I guess, see this sort of Wolfram technology with blockchain like going in the next couple of years?
so I see, I guess, at least two different fronts. One is more like on the data science part, and actually maybe three. So from one side, you have access to all this data from the blockchains. Eventually, like a lot of more blockchains, so you can read data from those, and and use all our computational power and that. And also there's this part. So we have all these API related functions, which are, I think, super useful for like app developers. So you can actually let's try. Can I try something?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's say, for example, so we have the API function here, and we'll try. So we'll make block variable. So what we are doing here is I'm getting I don't know, just one block from the, let's use the Bitcoin blockchain. Um, so let's do something like this. So I'm going to tell the language, okay, so give me, use the Bitcoin mainnet. and extract from here the byte count. That's the size of a block. Um, we're going to convert this into a string. I hope this works. Well, that's exciting part of live
Right,
coding,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So let's say going to make an API to get the size of the block. So I will say, for example, the size of this block is this, and let's try to add here. So these are bytes, and we'll add smiley face, I guess. Um, I don't know. It's probably working. Okay, so we are going to deploy this to our cloud. We'll use a cloud deploy function, and let's just call this API test and make this available for everyone. Okay. Well, let's see if this works. So, like if I open my terminal here, and I can curl. So I'm not using Wolfram Language anymore. I'm using
right.
standard curl function. Basically, any uh, programming language can support this. So you could be doing this from Python or whatever. Um, let's say I don't know this block here, and yep. So I get the result here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and actually let's try something. I don't know if this is going to work, but
Yeah, let's try something a little more complex. Maybe it'll crash, maybe it won't.
yeah. So let's say, and this is an opportunity to show one of our functions. So let's try the text translation function. Let's say, do you know how to speak Italian?
No.
Okay. That's no problem because we have this
We have
text
plenty of
translation.
Italians here,
We
maybe.
have a lot of Italians, so we should ask them if this is the correct translation. But I believe this is the correct translation. So let's say you don't know how to speak Italian. So we are going to make this API translate this into Italian. And let's try again.
Just so the
Well,
audience.
yeah, I got the result in Italian, so
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
that's something.
For a second, I thought that window wasn't popping up on the screen. I have like just in case live questions come
Okay.
up. Just my. But
So yeah, so this is I think very useful. Like if I'm an app developer, I'm probably developing in another language like I don't know like Swift or Java or whatever. But I can make all my backend working with these functions that are like I don't know it took us like 1 minute
Yeah.
to develop an API.
yeah, I mean that
And
API function is
It's super
like,
powerful.
Fast, yeah.
So yeah, that's another interesting part of our technology. And another very important part is what I was talking about before. That is the educational part. So using all this to teach other people about these technologies, and for them to use our language to keep exploring the topics and test everything by themselves. And again, we have the test nets connected to the language so they don't have to waste their money.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for talking with me,
Oh,
Christian.
no,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. Cool. Well, yeah. Anyway,